Someone calls you on your phone. Who can you tell who it is, and they don't have to say their name? So, like, when they call you, you just know it's them. After you hear them, just a couple words, a few words. Your parents, your spouse, your kids, your brother, sister, grandparents, cousins, good friends. That's about it. Now, how do you recognize their voice? Like, how come you recognize their voice and you don't recognize other people when they call you? It's because you spend time with them, right? It's because you've heard their voice, you know what they sound like. Well, in today's readings, we have a focus on Jesus as the Good Shepherd. And specifically with our scripture verse today, we chose to put here, he walks ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they recognize his voice. They follow him. That was a great image, too. I was thinking about that. You know, we have the children's liturgy now, and they follow the leaders, and they go out, and now they're being taught, according to their level, the scriptures. But we all need to be taught. We all, no matter what our level is, we all need to hear his voice. You know, at the beginning of Christianity, the first several centuries, before the crucifix was the main symbol, one of the main symbols of Jesus was Jesus as the Good Shepherd. So you find this at a catacomb here. I forget which catacomb, maybe Priscilla, I'm not sure, but maybe 200s, 300s, and maybe 100s. We have here from the 400s, I think it was, Jesus as a shepherd, as the Good Shepherd. I found this one. This isn't from a catacomb, but this is just a nice image that I found, a painting, of the sheep following the shepherd. As we heard in the scriptures, Jesus was saying, I am the gate. So, you know, they would have enclosures for the sheep. And different shepherds would put all their sheep into this enclosure for the night. Different flocks. And so then you close the gate, so they're protected. Or the shepherd would just lay across the open way, and they wouldn't go across the shepherd. They wouldn't jump across the shepherd. So in the morning, the shepherds would come, and when they would make their distinctive sound with their tongue or with their voice, then their flock would come out of the group of sheep, and the other sheep would stay because that's not their shepherd. And it depends on the world, but in Near Eastern shepherding, it's they don't use dogs to keep the shepherds to keep the sheep together. It's the lead shepherd, the lead sheep, who leads them. So he's like the lead sheep, and they follow him. Who is our lead shepherd in this area? Who do we follow? Well, you know, you have the pastor, is the shepherd of the local church here, but you have the pastor shepherd of the diocese. You know, in the second reading, St. Peter says, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. Guardian comes from the word episkopos, which is Greek. Remember, the language that they spoke at the time of Jesus, that was like English. Greek was like English. So that was the main language spoken. So that's why I have the Greek. Episkopos means guardian, and that's where bishop comes from. Episkopos is kind of like that word comes from that. So that's where bishop comes from. And so our local guardian, our shepherd, is Bishop Hicks. And there's distinctive features of a bishop, but there's two main ones that come to my mind. It's the hat, right? We recognize the hat of the bishop. We'll go through that in the future, but there's symbolic meaning to the hat. But in the meantime, to remember what the hat looks like, you know, you can do a napkin in the shape of a bishop's mitre. So there you go. This is, and here's some instructions. This is how you do the napkin. So then I want pictures. I want the best The best napkin that's in the shape of a bishop's mitre. Okay, so why 2 points? Old Testament, New Testament, right? And so there's different meanings too. Anyway, but the main thing is the crozier, the staff that the bishop has. And sometimes we see that and we think, oh, that's cute. That means that's nice little symbol as a shepherd. But in reality, that's to symbolize protection. That's a weapon against wolves, against predators, against the sheep. So he's going to use that staff to beat off any threats to his sheep, to his staff. That's the role of the shepherd, of the pastor, of the bishop, to protect his flock spiritually, physically, but mainly spiritually, from attacks to the flock. Question that I have for us today, for all of us, is who are shepherds? Who are shepherds? We can say, well, the Pope and the bishop, Father Matt, the pastor. Okay, good. But in reality, our shepherds are the ones that we spend the most time listening to, right? Who's your shepherd? Who do you listen to the most? Who influences you the most? Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, media, whatever it is, podcasts. Whoever you're spending time listening to or following, they are your shepherds. And the question I have for each one of us is, who are they being shepherded by? Who are they being influenced by? For our children, there's a battle for our children, right? For their minds, for their thoughts. There's no more 2 parents in the home, right? It's really always at least a third one. It's social media. It's the third one. And they really are the third parent today. Not just for the youth, but for all of us, really. Because how we dress, what we look like, how we think, how we act like, is dependent upon who we're influenced by. So who are our shepherds? I was reflecting on the responsorial psalm, which is the psalm before the second reading, so in between the first reading and second reading was the psalm. And it reminded me that the first Bible that I really used, I think I had a Bible as a kid. Probably my parents gave it to me for First Communion, confirmation. But in high school, Mr. Vresics in religion class gave us all a Bible. And at the front of this Bible, he wanted us to say, put your favorite scripture verse at the front of the Bible. And I had no clue. I don't know. This Bible's so big. How do I have a favorite scripture verse? But I did remember Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures gives me repose. So I put that. There's a picture of my high school Bible. And even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil. For at my side, with your rod and your staff, that give me courage. It also says in Psalm 23, you spread the table before me in the sight of my foes. You spread the table before me. That is reference going to be for Christianity for the Eucharist. Our shepherd gives us true food in the Eucharist. Last Sunday I was not here because I was in Philly on my birthday. But the main reason I went there, not because of my birthday, but it's because I gave First Communion to my nephew, Max. And there's my nieces as well, my sister, Colleen, pastor of the parish there. That's the parish I grew up in. That's where I was altar server at. I was ordained just in front of those steps as a priest, did my first Mass there. That was the best birthday present, was give communion to my nephew, Max. That's the best present we can receive from God is communion, is relationship with Him. But I ask again, who are we following? Who's giving us that food? Not just physical food, but influence us in our life. We should all discern who is influencing us. Let's take a look at this image again. We all have a choice to make. Imagine you're a sheep and you're deciding if you're going to follow this flock or not. Because to the left is someone who you've been listening to, influencing you. And even maybe it's a friend. Maybe you're not on TikTok or Instagram yourself, but your friend is, and they're being influenced. And so you're still being influenced by that. So there are two, let's say, the left, and others to the right, and others in back of you. And they're all clamoring to you. They're trying to get your attention to follow them. But Jesus is going that way. And you can see the rest of the flock there is going that way too. And he's not forcing you. He's not forcing you. In Near Eastern shepherding, the shepherd always led from the front. He did not coerce with dogs, other ways to keep the flock together. He led from the front. Are you willing to follow him? It takes courage to follow. It takes courage to follow. You know, in the past years, I've heard this expression, don't be sheeple. Don't be sheeple. Which I get, to an extent. I mean, like, for example, like if you have someone says, hey, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. And, or I'm from the government, so whatever I say is true, right? So, of course, we know that's not true. But it could be true. Maybe they're being truthful, maybe not. We have to be discerning, not just with the government, but with anybody. But it takes courage to follow. And I get concerned sometimes, especially in our great country. We have a beautiful country, many freedoms. But sometimes because of our independent spirit, which is good until it's not, sometimes we think, well, I can do whatever I want. I'll follow whoever I want. I'll make my own decisions. I'll make my own truth. Be careful. Because we could be just following ourselves. And that's not going to lead anywhere. It takes courage to follow Jesus. Before we're called to lead, we have to learn how to follow. Follow Christ. So that's my encouragement for all of us. Let's take a look at our social media. Let's take a look at our media. Let's take a look at our books. Let's take a look at our friends and see who's influencing us. And are they drawing us away from the family? Are they drawing us away from the family of faith? Or from what is right, from our church? Are they drawing us away from what we know is right? If they are, then we have to stop following them. Don't worry, the Lord will give you good friends who will help you, encourage you. Let's listen to his voice this week in prayer and lead others around us to the Good Shepherd.